Hey, what's up, man? Hello. A little bit early today. How you doing? Hello. Oh, nice. That's almost perfect roll. Sweet. Let's see what my stats are at now. 50% attack speed. Holy moly. It's pretty much max attack speed on almost everything. It's been a very not great day. I'm gonna be honest with you. Got some bad news. Basically, we had county-owned rideshare here, and they decided to shut down like a couple days ago, and I found this out while I was not at home, so I had a pretty bad anxiety attack. It's gonna be a lot more expensive to get around. I'm not looking forward to that, but hopefully the vouchers that they're giving out will help. Yeah, it's... I just want attack speed on this piece. Come on, game. Attack speed. Ah. Bad luck. You got like one more roll. That's a bummer. Let's go ahead and clean this out. Try to finish this build. I'll probably play some beat 'em ups tonight too. This game gets me chrono triggered, which is highly likely. I've lost a lot of runs to bullshit past couple sessions I've been playing this. Also, the usual whole being broke thing is not helping my mental state, but I'm always broke, so it's not like that's anything new. That's how it always is. It's just I'm going to be more broke because the bus got nerfed hardcore. Public transportation in America is just garbage. Pretty much anywhere else on the planet, public transportation is way more viable. In my opinion, it doesn't matter that managing a car and maintaining it is harder and more expensive, because you actually have agency on when you get to places. Obviously, there's still some variance, you know, with like traffic and stuff, but you can just get up and go. The bus, public transportation in America is embarrassingly bad. I could sit here and tell horror stories about problems I've had on the bus for this entire stream, but I'll spare you guys the details. Pretty much anybody that moves here from another country, first thing they're going to comment on is how terrible the transportation is. Infrastructure is just built in a way where not having a car is simply not viable. Unless you're lucky enough to both work and have your education and, you know, adult responsibilities like groceries and stuff within walking distance, but not many people can say that. You're very lucky if that's your situation. Yep, that's happened to me more times than I could count. I know a thing or two about that. I used to go on the bus in San Jose, and I swear those drivers, like, almost every time, what they would do is, like, basically speed run their routes so that they could go to a place and get cigarettes. I used to have that happen all the time. I would see them do it. Just like speed run past as many stops as they could, and then build up enough time where they can go get some smokes. It happened constantly. And seeing that was pretty eye-opening. I'm like, that's why sometimes the bus doesn't show up. Yeah, they do that all the time. That's very common. To be fair, sometimes they are like out of service, so they're like they're not picking anybody up. But like the bus LED on the front and on the side of the bus is supposed to say out of service, so that you don't call their customer support understandably pissed off that you were not picked up. But it's very possible that that could have happened. But who knows? That's pretty much why Uber is so popular, despite it being basically a ripoff. It's popular because our country is not built for people who can't drive. I guess you could argue that you can bike places, but if you're a single adult that doesn't have anybody to rely on for transportation, a bike is not viable for, like, carrying things, like groceries or packages or, you know, big stuff that you can't just carry in your hand or a backpack. You know, that's not very viable either. It's more viable than walking, for sure. You have more accessibility in a bike versus just walking, but not viable enough to really make a difference, in my opinion. The system here for getting around is completely fucked. Unless you have a car. It gets a little bit less frustrating when you realize that, but, you know, that's just how it is. We haven't made any effort to at least make public transportation better, so that it's actually reliable to get somewhere in a timely manner, instead of having to, like, budget an extra, like, 2-3 hours of time to get somewhere that somebody in a car could do in, like, 10% of the time. And I can vouch for this myself because I've been doing that a big chunk of my life. That's the other thing as well, with like temperatures rising, being a pedestrian is less and less viable. That's the other thing that people don't realize too. Like, the heat here has been really bad. The heat here has been unbearable. You can't realistically walk in 100+ weather for more than a few minutes. It doesn't matter how physically fit or young you are. You're not supposed to be in weather. You're not supposed to be doing strenuous physical activity in weather like that. You're just not built for that. And when you get older, it's definitely a lot harder, but it's not to say that being in like your peak early to mid-20s is not it's not bad either. It's a little bit more bearable. Being young doesn't really make it particularly better. Yeah, that bus driver has no excuse. If it doesn't say out of service, then they fucked up. They basically didn't do their job. That's my 2 cents on that. As somebody who's had numerous more bad experiences with public transportation than I could even tell you. They totally should not have done that. That is grade A certified bullshit that they didn't pick you up. But I've had that happen to me numerous times. Oops, I didn't mean to buy that. That kind of screwed up things, didn't it? Oh well. Like, I called their customer service today, and they told me to use the bus instead. I'm like, dude, it's over 100 degrees outside, and it's like an hour between buses, if even that. It's not viable. It has nothing to do with being impatient or entitled or anything. It's more that it's unbearably hot outside, and most of the bus stops don't even have shade. They haven't done any maintenance on like their bus stops at all. Majority of them don't even have shade. So I don't know how I'm supposed to wait in 90 to 100 degree weather for over an hour for the bus to show up. All to like get to where I need to go like 10 times slower. The problem with the rideshare here, though, to be fair, was that the availability was really bad. And they don't seem to realize, like, the availability is bad. The availability is bad because the bus is useless. The bus simply cannot get you somewhere in a timely manner. It can't. You know, if you're just doing something for leisure, then you can kind of adapt around it a little bit, I guess, but you shouldn't have to. That's the thing. Growing up as a child in the late 80s, early 90s, you know, my mom doesn't drive, so I spent a lot of my formative years getting fucked over by the bus. Nothing's changed in like the 30 years since then. It's only gotten worse, I would say. In some ways it's gotten better because at least you can call an Uber, so you're not completely screwed if the bus decides to fuck you over. But Uber is prohibitively expensive, so it's not really a perfect solution. They want like $10 to go like 2 miles. It's not at all viable. Like, why does it cost $10 to go like 2 miles? I know gas prices are expensive in California, but that's like pure profit. There's absolutely no reason why it should cost that much. And then they want a tip too. Ooh, I got one of the weapons. Nice. Nice. That's actually one of the drops I was missing. So I don't really care if this run dies. That's actually a pretty good roll, too. Nice. Oh, cool. I only have like 2 legendaries left to drop. Cool, cool. Yeah, bus drivers at the end of their shift will, be way less reliable. That's pretty much always a given. I went to the arcade. This was probably, I don't know, 15, 16 years ago. I went to the arcade. Now, the arcade closed at 10, so I would leave there, meaning walk to the end of the street where the bus is supposed to show up. I left, and I was at that bus stop at like, I don't know, 9:40. There's no way I missed that bus. The bus didn't show up. The bus was nowhere to be found, and I noticed that the people that worked at the arcade, and some of which I was friends with, they were going out and going home, which told me that the bus didn't show up. Now, I had to beg my friend for a ride, and as we were going down the street, we saw somebody at like almost every stop. So, you can probably guess what that means. The bus never showed up. And I called them and they said someone has to run the last bus. I'm like, well, they sure as hell didn't. No way in hell they did. Statistically impossible for that many people to be at that many consecutive bus stops if the bus didn't show up. If the bus did show up, I mean. Like, stuff like that happens all the time. Gonna give me all the bad patterns, huh? You're not gonna let me attack you? 3 attacks in a row. It's not coming down. Come on. That's what I don't like about this game. RNG attacks that they do, and they just don't let you attack. Come on. Thank you. No, don't do that attack again, please. Good boy. I'm just not gonna do the attack where I can actually do damage, huh? I'm getting zoned out really hard. boy. That was like one of the longest fights. I can't imagine speedrunning this game. Speedrunning this game would be mad frustrating. Even if you have, like, really good items. Sometimes some of the bosses can just do attacks like that. They can just do them, like, non-stop, and you can't do anything about it. It's made worse by the fact that your character... There's no aerial combat in this game. There's no aerial combat in this game at all, so... Alright, what's the best thing to get rid of? Oh, I could tell a story about that as well. Last year for my birthday, I went up to San Jose to see some people, and the tracks got ruined by the rain, which obviously the train company doesn't have any control over that. The problem was that I got put on a Greyhound, and the Greyhound didn't show up. It was like 2 hours late, and then when it did show up, they didn't tell me I was on the wrong bus until like 6 hours into the trip. So I was on the bus for like 10-12 hours. I had one of the worst anxiety attacks I've ever had, and basically ended up having a complete mental breakdown. I'm like, how am I on the wrong bus when there's all these people waiting, and I was there really early? It's another one of those situations where there's no possible way that I could have missed the bus. Yeah, I was stuck on a bus for like 12 hours. You can imagine how much that damages your psyche. That is not fun, I'll tell you that much. That would make anyone pissed off. Oh, it's not your fault that they're negligent. I actually had somebody pay for an Uber to get me home because the Greyhound was completely useless. They wanted to put me on another bus. Keep in mind, I had been in transportation for like 12 hours at that point. They wanted to put me on another bus. I'm like, how are you going to put me on another bus at like 10 p.m.? Scott, go in your room, please. I'm busy. They can hear you. Stop it. Nice, I just died because he does that attack. That's the attack I can't stand. That's why I'm getting tired of this game. I don't know how you're supposed to dodge that. If you get hit by one, you get put in hit stun. You can't get out of it. Almost all my runs die to that boss, because if he decides to keep making those mud waves, just can't get out of it. Hold on. What is he doing? Neighbor is drunk, by the way. I might have to, if I abruptly turn off the stream, it's because he gets worse. You guys are getting a little taste of what I have to deal with every day, and why I haven't been making content that much lately. It's a lot to deal with. Thank you guys for understanding. Anyway, let's try to not focus on that right now. I got this at least. Got screwed over by boss RNG. Alright, so main goals right now is get attack speed on this. Then I'll have like 60 something attack speed. I got intelligence on every other piece. Well, most of them. I don't think the item will drop unless I'm on Spellblade. So we'll do one more run. I might have to go home abruptly because of the things I just mentioned. So if that happens, I'll just stream at home. Yeah. You guys got a little taste of my caregiver fatigue. Yeah, problem with this game is getting stuck in hit stun. It's the same problem that Avengers game had. The Avengers game was like that. Watch your character face plant for like seconds on end. The difference is that this is a permadeath roguelike, so when that happens it's very, very frustrating. Yeah, that boss in particular is the most unfair boss in the game. Mostly due to the fact that they don't have like cooldowns on their attacks or like actual patterns. So there's been times where I've gotten there with really good builds and I die because that attack that killed me, he'll do it like 4 times in a row. The most aggravating thing about this game by far. It definitely would be better if they had like actual patterns that they adhered to, instead of just deciding they're gonna put their best hitbox on the screen like 4 times in a row. It's very strange because the first 2 bosses and the 5th boss don't have that problem. Hello. At least I got a good drop that run. I'm only missing 1 legendary in the whole game. Damn it! People just leave me alone? Come on, I need peace! Just want quiet. Nice. Hit stun in this game is so unfair. Permadeath roguelike shouldn't have that much hit stun. I'm sorry. You get hit once in this, it's like the amount of health you have barely matters. It gives you a little bit of a buffer, but you can get locked in hit stun very easily. There's nothing you can do about it. Which is why it's really bad that they have that boss that spams those mud pillars. Like, if he decides to do that, you're just boned. You have a statistically very low chance of not getting hit by any of those. The thing is, if you get hit by one, and then the others will probably hit you as well. So, I think I might be, I might wait for them to balance this game a little bit more. It's that boss in particular, and the last boss of Early Access that are, like, blatantly unfair. First off, you shouldn't be able to do it that many times, and also getting clipped by it once shouldn't mean that your entire health bar is going to go kaput. Anyway, I got one more attempt on this game in me, and I think I'm going to play something else. Something less triggering. But yeah, hit stun in this game is very frustrating. It doesn't seem like building for survivability is even remotely viable. The first time I cleared the game, I did have like really high stats, and I could take hits, but I did no damage. The last boss took like 10 minutes. They have a good foundation in this game, but there's definitely some stuff about it that feels very unfair. Like, no amount of skill is going to, like, let you win sometimes. Like, nope, you got locked in hit stun. Even if you had 800 health, you're still dead. I think hit stun like that could be fine when it's not a permadeath roguelike, but that's precisely what the problem is. You know, you don't have a revive, you can't put in 50 cents to continue or anything like that. Like, your run's just cooked because the game decided to screw you over. Is the most frustrating thing about this otherwise great game. Boss attack RNG and hit stun are the most aggravating things. They definitely should have like some kind of fighting game style hit stun decay where like you can't be put in hit stun by the same thing like, too many times. Or at least give like some kind of damage reduction. I think that would make tank builds more viable. Right now it feels like the only thing that's viable is how I'm playing the game, or basically if I get touched once I'm dead. It's like legit the only way to get anywhere in this game. They make you stack damage, but it's too many times you get hit by something random and you die because of it. At the same time, I don't think giving you hyper armor would really solve the problem either. It's a difficult thing to solve. Hyper armor would essentially mean that they would have to add some kind of invincibility frames so that, like, a bunch of projectiles or melee attacks don't overlap and instantly kill you either. I think they just need to add, like, hit stun decay of some sort, and then a damage reduction as well. It's really strange because the enemies have that, but you don't. If you proc a status element on an enemy in this game, and you try to proc it again, there's a cooldown. They get immunity to it. It's like, why doesn't the player have that? The player should have access to that. The builds and stuff in this game is really fun, but it doesn't feel entirely skill-based like Entropy Effect or like Helvetii. Some of the other roguelikes I play frequently on the channel, those are way more skill-based than this. The bosses are, and the enemies are way more balanced. So bullshit like that happens very sparingly. Another thing that makes the hit stun really bad is you have an entire second of cooldown before you can dodge again. There's no just dodge or witch time or anything in this game, so that really sucks as well. Like when he put those mud pillars, I was right next to him, so realistically there's no way out of that situation. The only thing I could have done is maybe land and try to heal, but I would have had barely any time. Probably during the healing animation, it would have gotten hit again. It's gonna be a last attempt of this game because I'm starting to get really chrono triggered. Yeah, almost every time I get to that boss, it's a crapshoot if I can get any farther, just because of the way that the game works currently. It's kind of where this game fails, is dying doesn't always feel like it's your fault. Oops. Well, that was my fault. I take fault for that one. The thing about entropy effects is that it feels like Jin's passive for dodging should be a core game mechanic. It shouldn't be tied to having him as one of your Evo types. Triple dash I would argue as well, but generally you can dodge everything with one dash. The game is balanced around one dash. Triple dash just helps you in really difficult situations, and it's kind of a bit of a crutch. But, like, Jin's passive should be a core gameplay mechanic. There's never any time where it feels like you shouldn't take that, and I think that that's kind of a problem for variety's sake. Like, once you get a good Jin, you basically, like, never want to take that off. And that's kind of a problem. Never once does it feel like you should not have that on. Which I don't think is really good for the health of a roguelike. The problem with this game is that you just die because of things that aren't your fault. Like, the combination of having a long-ass dash cooldown and then long hit stun that can get you killed from one mistake. And sometimes the mistakes are not your fault because your character can't dodge fast enough. That's what makes this game frustrating to play. The only reason I'm really still playing it is because I'm trying to just finalize my build for when they make the game a little better. But yeah, this game kind of commits the sin of having RNG in, like, the combat that you can die from. That's no fault of your own. Your character is not capable of dealing with a lot of those situations. Yeah, that's why it should just be a core gameplay mechanic. If there was a mod for that, I would totally install that. Just make his mechanic, his dodge, like, a core gameplay mechanic that you just have access to permanently. That would be pretty sick, actually. It's very strange, because, like, most of the attacks in this game, you notice I, like, almost never die to the spider. Unless I'm playing, like, really bad. It's the second half of the bosses in this game. Just kind of straight up cheat. The game is still worth playing right now because, you know, I'm kind of, like, leveling up my character doing this, but I'm definitely gonna transition to another roguelike soon. Give this a couple patches because the combat is very unfair. You definitely shouldn't be punished for... You shouldn't be punished for, you know, stacking around, like, defense, but... Because it's really easy to get comboed to death in this game, defense and building for health just doesn't ever seem like something you ever want to do. It's like, alright, I can spec in defense, but, you know, the game has, like, fighting game hit stun, so... Hopefully they'll nerf the mud guy. The mud guy is the most unfair boss. They need to, like, really reduce how many of those mud pillars that he can spawn. And make it so that he can't do it consecutively. That's a lot of hitboxes on the screen for a character that can only dodge once every second. Like, no amount of skill is going to get you out of that. At times it feels like the last half of the bosses in this game are balanced around like arcade version that doesn't exist, like a Exa Arcadia version of this or something. They're like, you know, they want to put something in the game to make it so that you can't get too good at it. This game definitely feels like that a lot. Like, there's no reason those bosses should be able to do what they can when you're given a character that's not entirely capable of dealing with it. Got some pretty good rolls on these, at least. This one's trash. See right there, the enemies get immunity from being having too many things applied on them, but you don't. It's blatantly unfair. You're very outnumbered. They get immunity, but you don't. Like, I don't understand why the game is designed that way. By the time they get immunity, they're already dead. Like, you should definitely get benefits like that. Kind of just like, they get all the benefits in the world, and you get clipped once, your run is over. It's like almost never your fault. Wombo comboed for half your health, or just completely dead outright. This was actually a problem in Diablo 4. Diablo 4, you could get like multiple ailments applied on you at once, and the way that they fixed it was they gave you immunity, like how it works in this game. And Diablo 4 at launch was like that as well. You get like stunned and frozen and burnt and poisoned like all at the same time. Your character's like basically a vegetable. I can't believe people played that game on hardcore at launch. Stuff like that was just like blatantly unfair, and then also the servers kept disconnecting. And if the server disconnected, your character counted as being dead. Somebody lost their character because of that. Interesting, this game is repeating some of those same mistakes. You can't really have permadeath and then have stuff like that in the game. You know, things like that are always going to be frustrating, but when you have permadeath in the game, it gives you a lot less leeway to have shit like that at all, in my opinion. You have so much less leeway when the game is basically telling you if you make one mistake, the run is over. Or in Diablo's case, like your whole run's dead. Like, I don't know about that. I don't find that fair at all. But this is pretty much exactly what Diablo 4 was like at launch. Something poisons you or freezes you from off screen, and your character's dead at that point. There's no coming back from that. They're just dead. Or you could like spawn out of bounds and die from that. That game was a disaster. I hear it's actually like really good now. I might actually check out the new season just because I've got another 10 days before Gundam comes out. But yeah, that game was kind of a train wreck at launch. Yeah, sure, have a hardcore mode in the game when you can get killed by literal disconnects or lag spikes, or you get like 5 status effects on your character in the same frame. Great game design. I think it didn't help that like Diablo 4 Season 1, you could keep getting those scrolls that could make it so you could teleport back to town before you were going to die. So hardcore wasn't even hardcore. Basically in name only. You just keep teleporting back to town. Basically equivalent of like doing a save state playthrough and saying it's a 1cc. That's basically what people were doing. Fake 1cc's. Like, if you keep teleporting back to town when you die, it's not really hardcore. Time. Yeah, I've said this a lot, but status effects in video games are almost always completely one-sided towards the enemy, the AI's advantage. I've played so many games where status effects are like worthless when you fight something that's not a trash mob. That happens constantly. I understand that they don't want you to like freeze the bosses like constantly, but it always feels so one-sided. Like you can get crowd controlled like crazy, but the moment you try to apply it to them, it doesn't work. I think the way that the Team Ninja action RPGs do it is really good. Where it's like you can apply the status, but there's diminishing returns. So it encourages you to do damage and play well, but, you know, if you're not maximizing your damage, then it's not going to help much. I'm cool with that, personally. I don't mind that at all. I think that's a good way to balance it. But a lot of times in games, it's just like you just can't apply it to them at all. So you get the frustration of, like, dying because the status effect renders your character a vegetable, but then you try to do it to them and there's a million conditions to even trigger the status, or it just outright doesn't work. This game, despite all its flaws with balance, combat balance, you can't apply statuses to bosses, which feels really good. That's one thing they did right. This game's still really fun, though. It's just not the kind of game, roguelike, to play if you're looking for skill to be a primary focus. Like, watch, this boss is gonna do the same thing again. I'm totally gonna rage quit on this game for tonight. We'll see. We'll see what pattern he gives me. Probably some bullshit pattern that's unavoidable. Status effects are pretty much always a completely busted mechanic in anything that's not turn-based. Almost always. Anything action that requires, like, manual dexterity, you can't really rely on the status effects to even be remotely functional. Meaning that they'll annoy the shit out of you and make you want to stop playing, but building a character around applying them to the enemies is almost never viable. It's always either you can decimate regular enemies, but it doesn't work on bosses. That's usually how things work. I really like that about the Turtles roguelike, was that status effects are actually viable and OP. I thought that that was actually pretty cool. Building around statuses was actually viable, and it did a lot of damage to bosses and enemies. That game's got a lot of problems itself, but the gameplay is actually pretty well thought out. Definitely better than other stuff I've played. Alright, let's see what pattern he gives me this time. think it's like developers just feel like it takes over the game if you allow it. If you allow players to use it on actual challenging enemies, but it's usually the opposite. Oh, here we go. Run's dead. Right on cue. This fucking game, man. Balance is so messed up. I don't know how you're supposed to dodge that attack. It's like your character is incapable of doing it. The way he works currently, you cannot dodge that attack. Alright, I think it's time to switch games. I'm getting chrono triggered. I think a Saint would be pissed off by this, to be fair, but yeah. It's very annoying. Same one again. It was going pretty good there. He only did it like once, but then he decided to put out like 10 of them at a time. The run was toast. It was over before it began. Might be time to switch in another roguelike instead of playing this more. I'm definitely getting to that point. Actually, let's just wear this one. This one's fine. Yeah, that boss is everything wrong with this game. Having long-ass hit stun, and then attacks you can't dodge because your character is not capable of dodging quickly. So you just get boned. There's nothing you can do about that. It mostly depends on where he decides to do it. If he does it right next to you, like GG. Ooh, I got it! Nice! I got it. Cool. Alright, well I have every legendary in the game now. Yeah, that's it right there. That's the last legendary I had left to get. I guess we'll try this out and then I'm gonna go ahead and play something less tilting. Like a beat 'em up or something. Let me see what rolls does this have. Really shit rolls. I think I had a spare talisman in here, didn't I? Alright, let's try to get a couple more. See if any of these are good rolls. There's a strength one. You okay now, Scotty?
Yeah, they're okay. I'm fine.
Yeah.
I was running for me, you know, she and that.
It's alright, Scott. I was a little bit pissed off today, too.
I was fine. Okay, calling my mom. Yeah.
Okay, well, try to relax now, okay? I need int. It's not giving me any int. Kinda don't want to roll with this until I get a decent stat. See that I have another spare in here. Just want to try to get intelligence. Got a bunch of crap ones here. Come on, game. Hook a brother up. 31 vitality. Yeah, that's not going to do anything. Terrible luck. Oh, there we go. Perfect. Alright, cool. Alright, so let's try this. Get rid of the rest of these. I've re-rolled them too much, so they're not worth keeping. That one's actually pretty good. Let me see what that dagger does, actually. I have that in the storage. I got both legendaries this session, so even though I got fucked by RNG, that was pretty good. Let me see what this does exactly. Huh. Alright, well, let's play something else. Had my fill. And make sure it saves that. Yeah, that boss is what makes that game not very fun to play. I feel like they have really good progression systems in the game, but the actual combat is riddled with really bad balancing problems. It's just like, I don't know. I don't know how much longer I want to keep playing it if it's going to be like that. They definitely need to do, like, a serious balance pass so that stuff like that doesn't happen, like, 80% of the time you play the game. Let's see. They can either beat 'em up or roguelike. I think the problem is the game's not really selling that many copies. You're not getting a lot of constructive criticism. I think that game has a great foundation. It's a blast to play, but it doesn't always feel like losing a run is your fault. And that's something they really need to fix. It's nice to have the gear and stuff, but it's not a crutch for shit game design like that mud boss. Just being able to put like 10 hitboxes on the screen. There's nothing you can do about that. That makes me feel better. I get to put enemies in hit stun for a change. That's what's been happening on Dragon is Dead all night. Sweet revenge. Just had to play another game to exact revenge. Got bodied. I'm definitely getting better at switching games when I get chrono triggered like that, but I think in my defense, the events that transpired in Dragon is Dead tonight would piss off anybody. But yeah, got some good progress tonight. Hopefully next patch will be a little bit better. I think that game is going to get semi-retired from the stream. I'll probably update it again in a few days. Hopefully they iron out that battle balance, because I don't see how that's fair. This blitz special is like really slow. Can't really seem to get much off it. Let's try this. Maybe you can side switch. Ah, you can side switch. Alright. That's a little bit better. I had no health, no wonder. Oops. Probably the person that's streamed Dragon is Dead more than anybody else. Yeah, I don't think I really want to play that game. Not even demoting it from stream status, but I think I really want to wait for them to tweak it a little bit more. Number 1 Dragon is Dead streamer. Got the build mostly finalized, so that's a pretty good stopping point. I might unbacklog another roguelike and play that during these streams. It's probably really boring to watch, just dying at that exact same spot every time because that boss doesn't give a good pattern. Fight. Oh, well, in this like version of the game, the annoying bosses are actually kind of fun to fight because you can combo them to death, which you can't do in the original. But yeah, I had a very triggering session on Dragon is Dead tonight. Made very little progress, so playing this to cool off. Well, it did make some progress. I got some of the build got done, and then I did get all the legendaries in the game tonight on this stream, but I'm gonna have to find something else to replace that game for, like, low-power indie game that I can play on these streams. The game's just too frustrating right now. Needs a little bit of work before I start taking it seriously again. I haven't cleared Ember Knights yet. That game is pretty solid. I'll probably replace Dragon is Dead with that. That game's got much better balancing. Get out of here, knife. You ruined my combo. Got Ronald McDonald here. What time is it? Oh, I still got a little bit more time. I've got to do some chores here. I just don't do them until I almost leave because the cats think that anytime I do chores, like maintaining them and stuff, that they're going to get more food. So I kind of want them to calm down a little bit. I thought it was a little bit later than it was. I'm gonna stop in like probably 30-40 minutes. man, best track right here. Violent breathing. Yeah, I'm busy right now, Scott. What do you need? I'm fine, yeah. Hey, I'll split the bananas for us when I leave, alright? I'll give you 2. Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead. Time for the next best track. Yeah, it's gonna be cooler, I think, next week. Yeah, we really need it. It's been too damn hot for too long. Good fight. Get bodied. Weeb boss is so random. Big, like, old bearded guy in a samurai suit. I'm just gonna go ahead and pop this now. Good fight. GG's. That was a good run. For learning a new character, that wasn't bad. Trying out the new characters he added. Alright, you might want to look for somebody in the credits. Got Mr. Din in the credits, too. You guys should all know him. Dav Preek as well. He does a lot of beat-em-up playthroughs. Saikai does a lot of beat-em-up stuff on YouTube as well. You should go check them out. If you like beat-em-up content, I'm not the only one that does it. There's lots of other people. Most of them are in the credits here. Oh, Illusionista. He's working on Avengers. I forget what it's called. It's been in the works for a long time. I'll definitely play that when it comes out, but he hasn't updated the demo in like 6 years, so that game looks pretty legit. G-Source as well. He does Streets of Rage 2 New Era, which is also supposed to be getting a major update soon with, I guess, like a juggle system and custom characters. So that's pretty exciting. Alright, well I think that's going to do it for now. I might actually have enough IRL stamina to play some Atlas Fallen tonight. Maybe do some cleanup and check out New Game Plus. I think that might be the way for tonight, since Dragon is Dead has been making me really chrono triggered lately. So thanks for watching, everybody. I need to do a couple more chores and do a couple more chores with the cats, and then once I get home, provided the usual stream I watch at night, which is Tales of Vesperia speedruns. If he doesn't boot up tonight, I will come back and we'll check out some Atlas Fallen. So I don't think there's anyone that's really been covering New Game Plus, so that might be some fun side content to do while we wait for, where is it? The big one to come out. Another 10 days to go. 10 days to go, man. It's almost here. It's just a little bit over, a week and some change away. I need to figure out what the next game's gonna be. I might actually do Trials of Mana. I'm not buying Visions of Mana because the demo is kind of actually really poorly optimized, so I don't really want to buy that, but I would like to finish this. This game got backlogged really hard, so that might be the next game. I'm not wanting to play anything that takes longer than a week, so that greatly limits my options. I might check out some of this on the Kittysitting streams to replace Dragon is Dead. Sakuna I never finished. That might get pulled out of the backlog, but I think that might take more than 10 days to finish. What else? That's basically it. I've cleared most of my backlog. Actually did pretty good on backlog annihilation. Actually, this got a couple major updates. I should go back to this, actually. I did some speed runs of this for a while. I might go back to that. This game was fucking awesome, too. One of the best games I played this year. Very underrated. Ember Knights as well. Next roguelike I want to clear, and then Nightmare the Lunatic. I need to get clears on both these games, so that'll probably be what I do next. I'll see you guys later tonight. Most likely, no promises. If my homeboy is on doing Tales speedruns, I'm probably gonna ditch you guys. But if he's not on, then we'll do some Atlas Fallen tonight. I'll see you guys later.